Hello, hello, everybody. I'm Isabel Filion from If Hair Pro. I am really excited because tonight I have this is going to be a premiere at um, In Between Hairstylists. We're having an international hairstylist, and his name is Nick Arrojo. And I'm going to go get him right now. This is exciting. Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Nick?
I'm good, thanks. Very good. Very, very good. Yeah.
Thank you for connecting with me in between hairstylists. I couldn't believe it when you accepted my invitation.
Why
Uh,
not?
well, because I figure you're a very busy hairstylist, and then I'm like, well, what are the chances he's gonna say yes? And then you made my day, I must say.
Okay.
Good. So we got a lot to talk about because I understand that you started at with Sassoon in England, right?
Yes.
And then you moved into United States, and then did you soon became an entrepreneur, or you waited and you worked for somebody first when you
You know what? I started hairdressing, and I don't come from a financially wealthy family, and I just figured that I would just work hard, and I got a great job, and I worked at Sassoon's, and then I ended up getting a transfer to America. I got a job working for Bumble. And when I came to America, my goal was just to be successful working for Bumble. And
okay.
then literally the land of opportunity kind of opened my eyes. And at a certain point in my life, I realized that it was maybe it was time for me to give it a shot and see if I could do something more on my own.
Okay.
I was feeling a little bit. Bumble was fantastic. Bumble was fantastic, but I was feeling a little bit stifled and I realized that Bumble really wasn't my dream.
Okay.
So I realized that if I wasn't going to stay at Bumble, is there another place to work? And when I looked into the marketplace, I didn't want to leave New York. I realized that there was nowhere else that I wanted to work, so I should try and create my own future for myself, and
Yeah.
that's kind of where I went.
But I remember you from Wella because I used to be a platform artist as well
Right.
for Matrix Hair Care. And I think I used to live out west, and I think you came to do some session with Wella because I remember you from your shoes because you always
Right.
wear very colorful shoes.
Colorful shoes. Yeah. Well, when you get older, the only thing you can wear is colorful shoes. To look a little bit less, not look, don't look too conservative. Just mix up the shoes a little bit.
So now you have actually a couple schools, right? You have
It's down to one. We lost the COVID kind of killed us.
okay, so
You
you
know,
have one school. How many salons?
two salons, one school, and my product lines. Two different lines of product: American Wave and a Roadshow product.
Right. So is your products in Canada?
No, because we were in Canada a little bit, but you really need to be on the ground.
Okay.
And Canada is such a big market, and it's not heavily populated, and it's all hair care is highly competitive.
Right.
So we launched in Canada through a distributor. It didn't really quite work out, and
Okay.
rather than just keep on trying to do that, we decided that we would just focus more in America.
Okay.
My business model is not a business model that was built for just financial gain. My business model was built so that I could do the things that I love, and so I made those decisions based on what I can do as opposed to trying to focus on financial gain.
Okay. Okay. That's cool. What's your so far professionally? What is your biggest achievement?
Staying in business through COVID.
Right. Oh, for
I mean, when the shutdown came in New York City, the epicenter of the coronavirus in America was New York. So New York had a very hard shutdown, as did a lot of the Democratic states, more so than the Republican states. Two different sides, two different ways of looking at things. New York City being a vertical city, and nobody coming into work, and no one moving into the city, really devastated the business.
Yeah.
So and I think that the hairdressers were forgotten. You know, restaurants were not forgotten. Hair salons and personal care services were truly forgotten. Um, Everybody got support throughout the country, no matter what career you did. But I think care really suffered the most.
Was the
So
same in Canada.
if you, I know it's the same in Canada. If you, if you rely on person to person connection to be able to do your job, um, and you're not allowed to do that, then you're in a lot of trouble. And certainly in what we've done now, even today, you're seeing clients. We've trained the clients to come once every 6 months. Yeah, they're not coming every 6 weeks like they used to. And in
Wow.
New York City, the offices are still closed. They're slowly trying to get the offices open, but nobody wants to come back to work.
Okay.
So
Wow.
when you're living in New York and your business and you used to have 250,000 people per square mile, and then you go down to maybe 20,000 people per square mile, you've got a major drop off in the people around the environment.
Yeah.
So not only was the salon closed for 4 months, when we got to reopen, nobody came back. So
Wow.
you have a big business with big responsibilities, and then no one's there to help you succeed or to help you navigate. So my biggest success is really staying in business. You know, and you think your rent was your payroll is your biggest expense in the hair salon business, and then your rent is your second biggest. So the rent in New York was $200,000 a month. So when you're closed for 1 month, you owe $200,000. For 2 months, it's $400,000. 3 months, you know. So just being able to survive and still be in business at this stage, while we're not out of the woods, we're still in business. So that is my biggest accomplishment.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Did you guys get help from the government?
Everybody got help from the government.
Okay.
Everybody. Yeah,
Okay.
everybody got the PPP in America. Everyone got the PPP. It was the payroll protection program.
Okay.
So what that money was for payroll. So it's to keep people in a job. Yeah,
Okay.
but nobody came back. And even when you got the money, the rules were that you had to spend the money immediately. But when we
Okay.
were given our PPP money, we was given our PPP money in May. We weren't allowed to open until July,
Right.
and then you only have 2 more months. So what the PPP did is put me in more debt.
Okay.
While it helped and kept me in business, which I'm thankful for, it
Yeah.
paid all the employees, or it helped to support the employees. You had to pay the employees twice as much or extra to keep them. Once you paid them the extra, then they left anyway,
Yeah.
because there's a slush fund of money that was given across the board to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're an insurance company and you have 100 employees, no one lost their insurance, but the PPP would have been enabled for an insurance company, and they could use that money to help subsidize their payroll to help their business grow. Well, in the hair business, if you're not doing any hair, you're not making any money.
Exactly.
And if you're not making any money, what do you pay? Because it's a commission-based business. So really, nobody thought about it. It was like a one size fits all, and unfortunately, we're just too diverse for one size fits all. You
Mm.
know, again, I think that the biggest concern in New York, and I got zero help from New York City, absolutely no help whatsoever. There was no grants, no support. But if you was in entertainment, you got a grant. If you was in restaurant business, you got a grant. If
Mhm.
you was in the restaurant business, you got more money than any other business. But the personal care stuff never, never received, or the thought, the care, or the attention. Like I say, I got PPP money, definitely helped to keep me in business.
Mm.
Not money for me. There was no money there for me. It wasn't like, okay, you're the owner, there was no money for me.
Rent or nothing like that. No, like
Well, no, you use it for your rent, but at the end of the day, if you're not, you don't. The PPP was not necessarily, while great, and I'm thankful, and it definitely kept me in business.
yeah.
It just extended the process, and we're still in that process.
Hmm.
You know, COVID's not gone.
No.
Yeah, I mean the hair salon business. you do a client once every 6 weeks if you're lucky. So your best client comes in once every 6 weeks. So now you've lost all your clients because no one's coming into work. So no one's traveling into the city.
We
So
should
now you've
count.
got no clients.
Yeah.
Now your clients, even if they are coming, they've gone from once every 6 weeks to maybe once every 3 to 4 months. We're living in a Zoom generation. And we're
Yeah.
in the relationship business. Relationships, so as soon as the relationship's broken, it's broken. It's just like
Yeah.
if you have a loyal clientele, she's scared to break the relationship. Yeah. But if you end up with a client that doesn't see you for 4 months, she's found a new relationship. She isn't coming back. That's why
Yeah.
people think, oh, you're back in business, isn't it great? It's like, no, because we're in the relationship business and all the relationships have been broken because time prevented us from having those relationships.
Yeah. So let me ask you, how do you stay motivated these days? Like,
I just, work really hard and I keep focused on the prize. I think one of the most important things is to, you know, uh, listen, I've been doing this for 40 years. It's a long time. I've had a long career. Yeah. And I never anticipated that somebody could, smash at my business or a virus or the way in which the government handled it could smash at my business. So it has. Now I've got no choice but to stay positive. Yeah, I tell everybody you got to stay focused on your vision, and you just got to be consistent, and you got to turn up and do things that try to motivate you. Like we have a show next week that we're doing, which is a lot of work, but it will create motivation. We go to the trade shows the week after in Chicago. It's a lot of work, but it creates motivation, creates inspiration, and the people around you help to motivate you.
yeah,
And that's really what that's what I do. You know.
for sure. Surrounding yourself with people that believes in you, number one, that
Well, it's
motivate.
hard to find people to believe in you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on. It's not as easy as it's easy to say, but very difficult to do
So,
because we're living very much in a me now generation, me now environment.
mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I live in an environment that people don't like working anymore. Yeah, they want it all for, they want it given to, they want to make more money, but they don't necessarily want to work for that money. They just
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to they want to do the same thing they were doing or less, but they still want to make more money.
yeah. How's the school going? Like, how is it to, to teach at the school and motivate the new generation? And uh,
It's the school business is a phenomenal business, and that certainly what you put out comes back to you. So the school business is a great business, and educating, and I educate every weekend, is obviously very motivating to do. But again, it's very difficult building a school in a very fractured environment. And the school business in America is, I don't know what it's like in Canada, but in America, you have these windows where you have enrollments,
right.
right?
Yes.
So now all of a sudden you have Omicron, yeah, and now no one wants to, or you have a city that's dangerous, where New York's become very dangerous. There's a new mayor, they're trying to change things around a little bit. So, does a parent want a child to go into Manhattan to learn hair when there's homeless people on the streets and
Yeah.
there's a dangerous. 2 weeks ago, somebody got shot outside my building.
Okay.
Yeah, so I come to work on a Saturday morning and someone got shot. It's like this is a really exciting time for me to be where you've got detectives in your place because somebody got shot outside. A homeless person got shot, and it was all over the news. Someone was killing all the homeless people. So we're living in a very difficult environment. I think when you're in the suburbs, maybe less affected
Yeah.
than the city.
Yeah.
You don't want to go on the subway. So who wants to travel on the subway? The subways are now a dangerous place to be. So until we get the safety of the city back, yeah,
Mhm.
but now you also have rising costs. So everything's more expensive. Apartments in New York now are 20% more than they used to be.
Yeah.
See, there's the craft, which we focus on, but
Right.
then there's the reality.
Okay.
Yeah. So the craft is like what we love, and that's what we do. And
Yeah.
the reality is trying to run a business and survive in an environment that's been very difficult. But
Yeah.
I travel pretty much every week and I teach, and I get a lot of joy from going out into different environments and teaching and sharing and showing what I can create and kind of sharing my technique. So that's all very, very rewarding, you
Yeah.
know. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you started this thing by saying entrepreneur. An entrepreneur has to be responsible for everything.
Everything.
Okay. So when if you're in the products business, my products for production have gone up by 20%.
Hmm.
Yeah, you got to find more money.
Mhm.
Hey, you got to promote, and everything becomes so much more. So we're living in a very challenging time because there's a great divide that's happening, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And the divide is the middle class is being crushed, and the wealth during the pandemic, a lot of people made a lot of money, and a lot of people lost a lot of money.
absolutely.
Yeah. So when you're in a place like where I am, it's become so much harder to succeed, and that's the reality. So there's the craft, and then there's the business entrepreneurship, and the business entrepreneurship is very challenged right now because what do you need to make money in a hair business? People. Yeah.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to work, and it's a great market if you're looking for a job
Mm.
because people are having to pay people a lot more money to do that job. But when you're an entrepreneur with a small business, do you have the resources? So you really have to navigate. They talk a lot about left brain and right brain. Hairdressers are creative,
Yeah,
but you've got to have logic. When you're an owner of a
I agree.
business, it's not just about turning up and doing the creative and making clients feel great. While that is definitely a part of it that we all got into it for,
Yeah, you
but
got to,
also
as an entrepreneur, you got to put your nose in everything. You have to know what goes on in your business. It's
it's
important.
a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. Do you still spend time cutting hair in a salon, like having client yourself, or
I do more clients than anybody in the salon.
do you?
Yeah, it's a function of necessity, and it's also a function of making sure that I'm on the shop floor. I think a lot of salon owners, they decide that they open up the business and then they want to get away from being behind the chair. That's not me. I don't want to get away from being behind the chair, but certainly when you're living in this type of environment, the most important thing is make sure that you are making the most of the time that you have. And when you're on the busy creates busy. So if I'm busy on the shop floor, I can help people to get busier. So
Mhm.
I'm very connected. So I have to be the business owner of three different businesses: my products business, my education business, and then my salon business. I have to be the CEO of all of those. And then in the education business, I have to be one of the teachers. So I'm a teacher. And
Mhm.
then in the salon piece, I've got to be a hairdresser. So I'm doing a lot of hair. So I
Oh,
literally do between 25 to 40 clients a week still.
okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So I'm behind the chair.
I hope when you go to sleep at night, I hope you can put your your head on your pillow
What
and
is what's that word you said?
going to sleep at night.
Sleep. What is that? Sleep. I'm not so sure what sleep is, but yeah. Listen, this is don't we never measure about you're in the moment, but you have to measure your career for the longevity of it. And
Mhm.
I tell this to everybody: you have good luck and you have not so good luck. The question is what do you do when you have good luck, and what do you do when you have not so good luck?
Mhm.
And right now, at this stage in our journey, the hair industry has been under assault, and the way in which what we did when I got into this industry has changed so much because of the connectivity, the social media aspect, the everybody can be their own entrepreneur, which is a great thing,
Okay.
but it's a very different thing. I
Okay.
grew up where it was Vidal Sassoon, Tony and Guy. You had these big culture companies,
Right.
and you know what? Everyone had a badge then. In the years after, my badge was, I worked for Vidal Sassoon, or my badge, I was an art director for Tony and Guy, or this was my badge, or that was my badge. Yeah. Today, the badges have got 300,000 followers.
Mm.
Yeah. People measure that. No
Yeah.
one knows if they're real or not. You can buy them.
Yeah.
So in other words, when we were younger, we grew up to be like kind of the senior, maybe that's the wrong word, the experience that we have has become, I don't want to say devalued, but less important, because there is a different way now. There's a different appeal.
Yeah.
Everybody is on promoting themselves, which is a great thing. But I do think that the industry is we're in like this. Hair's still the same, but just the mentality is somewhat different.
Mortality. Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, and you can promote yourself and you can be your own boss. And I think these are all very, very positive things. But it's a very different industry to the world in which I grew up in.
Yeah.
And the other thing to remember is for all the salon owners out there, it's a low profit business anyway. If you own a salon, it wasn't a get rich quick scheme. Owning a salon was about enjoying your team, enjoying your vision, having a mission, and if you were successful, you might make a little extra on top of the money that you generated. It was a different type of you didn't get into owning a hair salon because you wanted to become rich, because no hair salon owners become rich. They
Mhm.
just make a lifestyle for themselves.
Right.
Today, you train people and they leave you the minute that they feel that they've got enough. So the sense of loyalty and the sense of build is a lot harder than it used to be. And
Yeah.
that's not a complaint, it's a realization. So I think
Reality.
for the older hairdressers in the room, the people that have been here for a long time, like myself, it's about reevaluating what the future looks like. But also, once you've built a business and you've built a framework, once that the environment changes, it's a lot harder to move because you're bogged down or saddled down with expensive leases and different things that prevent you from being nimble. Yeah, and I think that we're living in a world where, as a hairdresser, to be nimble is a good thing.
Mm. This is what we're experiencing right now in Canada. I've been talking to quite a few salon owners that have big salons, and it's interesting how people are buckling up, and they're just like COVID has made them change their way of thinking, where they're trying to diversify it in a way where they're going to downsize their salon or change their way of thinking, and so.
Well, I think that today it's about the individual more than it's about the team when it comes to the hair craft. And it's very hard to rely on individuals because we get distracted and they change. You know, years and years and years ago, and I'm talking 20, 15 years ago, you realize, you say, people are not going to be with you forever. And
Yeah.
you might not want them to be, because at a certain point they become maybe less productive or less positive,
Yeah.
So I used to, I put like a timeline on, okay, what's the expectation from entry to exit? In other words, I've trained thousands of hairdressers and I've employed hundreds of them.
Mhm.
So you say to yourself, what's the life expectancy of a hairdresser working with me? Because at the beginning,
Yeah.
I've got to do all the investment. All the risk is on me. I've got to build them, train them, pay to train them, nurture them, guide them, develop them, book them,
Mhm.
and
They leave.
and then, well, they leave. So the question is how quickly can you get all of that done, and how quickly can you get your investment back?
Mhm.
All that's changed now. That's changed. I used to think, if you had a hairdresser with you for 5 years, that was a good amount of time for you to really feel like your investment was worth it. But
What's
today,
now? Yeah.
uh, people want to come. They don't want to go and shampoo and assist. They want to go straight to the shop floor.
Okay.
And everything online's free, so everyone's getting education for free. And now there's a lot of education stuff that is subscription based, which is paid for. But
Yeah.
watching and doing are two very different things.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can watch somebody make a nice omelette, but actually having me to cook that omelette would probably taste very different from me watching someone make it.
Hmm.
So, while there is an abundance of education, there's less education for people to actually get their hands on. Hands on education is where people truly learn.
Okay, good. Do you offer training online?
We do offer training online. Yeah, we have offered a lot of training online. I think again, it's like one of those focuses. You want to build education on wherever you put your energy, you're going to see success.
Okay.
So from my standpoint, we do one educational class, which is American Wave Certification. We do that online, digital education. I have done many digital classes, but you've got to be able to. Just doing education online is one thing. Getting people to sign up is another.
Yeah.
It's just like bringing in a hair care product. Putting product on a shelf is one thing, but getting someone to sell that product is another thing altogether. And
Yeah.
if you don't get them both together, there's no point. So if you're an independent hairdresser, you don't have, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 10, 20, 30 employees, you can focus on streamlining what you need to focus on. But when you have a lot of things that you need to focus on, in times of crisis, you have to focus on the fundamentals.
That's
So right now, the fundamentals for me is making sure that my school functions properly,
yeah.
making sure that my salon offers the level of service that will continue to get those clients to come back, getting new clients. And then as far as the product goes, is putting the message out there in the education so consumers can purchase the product so that I can have a viable product business.
Yeah. I'm curious. I want to ask you, it's kind of like a point of view or a personal question. And my point of view on this is there's a lot of beautiful education content out there, all kind of digital courses offer. Sometimes some people are giving away their knowledge for free on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram or Facebook. They're even teaching the public how to do hair, basically.
Mm-hmm.
What's your point of view on that?
You can't stop it. It's already happened. It happened years and
No,
years ago.
I know.
Everybody. Listen, I know companies that have you. When we grew up, it was always you did everything for free to get involved. Yeah. So which kind of a person do you want to be? The person that says I'm not going to do it unless you pay me, or the person that says I'm going to do it because I'm going to learn from the experience. Okay.
Mhm.
So certainly for a lot of young hairdressers, putting content out there for free helps to promote them, helps to elevate them it's a great way of marketing. Yeah, but as social media changes, that marketing changes too. When Facebook Live first began, it was like, okay, you have now the ability to do a full haircut and people to watch it. So
Mhm.
if you was an early adapter, which we
Mhm.
were, I could do a haircut for free and I'd have 1,500 people watching me live.
Mhm.
2,000 or 2,500 if it was a good episode. And then within 24 hours, you'd have 100,000 people watch what you did.
Mhm.
Today, there's so many people doing that. You're not going to get that kind of an audience. So the
Okay, yeah.
question is now we have to realize what is the next step. Let's not worry about. I mean, we know we give everything away. We've given everything away. But the question is what's the next step for us to be successful? And really, at the end of the day, you have to measure what success is to you, and
Mhm.
never worry about what other people do or what other people don't do, because the only thing you can worry about is what you do. You know.
There's a question that came. I don't know if you can see it.
Hmm.
Uh, Would you hire a stylist that is only trained online?
Yeah. I don't
Or
think I'm hiring stylists. I'm hiring people.
okay.
Yeah. Anybody can be trained. Anybody. This is not like unique, it's not like, oh, this person can do it and this person can't. Some people are quicker adapters than others. So I'm just hiring people. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the personality, the drive, the
Right,
commitment, the
right.
vision. Yeah.
Right.
And I hire people straight away. What to anybody is a successful hairdresser? Someone that can bring in a client. Yeah, that's it. If you can bring in a client, that you individually can bring in a client, you're an asset. If I
Mhm.
hire somebody and I've just got to feed them and feed them and feed them, then guess what? There's something wrong with this hairdresser. Because in a world like today, where social media is so prevalent in society, why can you not promote yourself? Yeah. So I'm looking for people that are
That's
self
right.
promoters. Yeah. I'm prepared to promote you if you're prepared to promote yourself. If you're
Okay.
not prepared to promote yourself, I've always said this. My job as a salon owner is never my job is not to feed you. That's not my job.
No.
My job is to create an environment so that you can feed yourself. Yeah. Now, of course, if I've created a successful business, then I'll have clients that I can give to you. I
Mm.
can help put clients in your chair. But if I wake up every day thinking, how am I going to get Tony busy or Sheila busy, then guess what? Tony and Sheila shouldn't be working in my environment. They need to be as responsible for their success as you. I always say, if I want your success more than you, then we have a problem.
Mhm.
You've got to want it just as much as me. I
Oh,
will help you. I will guide you. I understand that. Now, remember, most jobs are not like that. Most jobs, you don't get mentorship. Most jobs, you get paid to do a job.
yeah.
There's the job. I'm going to pay you this much money. Do the job and do it really well.
Yeah.
But it's somewhere along our way in our industry, we gotta babysit, we gotta manage, we gotta nurture, we gotta guide, we gotta be an arm on my, head on my shoulder, help you through the good times, help you through the bad. Not that that's not noble or great, it is. But how many people leave? It's like they want you when they want you, and they go when it's time for them to go. So in a lot of ways, salon owner, it's a one-way it's a one-way transaction.
Hmm.
So as a salon owner, you got to be resilient and you got to be strong enough, and you've got to look at that. Like I say to people all the time, salon owners, they say, I love mentoring people. That doesn't last. Yeah, that doesn't last. Why should we be mentoring people while we're paying them? If
I,
they're not generating revenue to pay for themselves, then mentorship comes when someone's helping the environment of the business to be viable. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like your number one focus is not to mentor people. Your number one focus is to make sure that you're building a reputation that the consumer, if you have a salon, if you're a salon owner, your number one vision is to book the most expensive appointment at the soonest possible time. That's what it is. Yeah. And when somebody comes to work for you, yes, you want to guide them. Yes, you want to nurture them. But ultimately, if they're not helping to pay for themselves, then you're doing way too much work. Yeah. But it's tough because, it's easy to say anything. It's
Yeah.
hard to do to execute, or to
Yeah.
get expectation.
Yeah. What is the time expectancy of hairstylisting with you now these days at the
Like
salon?
I say, if I can get 5 years, if somebody comes out of school into my salon, I put them on the floor 1 day a week immediately. There is no longer do we slow any process down. This is what I did before the pandemic, and the pandemic just pushed everything a lot faster. So what that means is, if somebody comes out of school and works for me, I'll say, okay, you're going to work 4 days a week. One of those days is your client day.
Okay.
Find some clients.
Yeah.
They won't be, we call them new talent, so we don't spend, the appointment's not as expensive. It's half price of what the entry level haircut or the entry level single process is. So it ends up being $50. But if they can't get clients now, how are they going to get clients in the future?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
my expectation is not how long, but how quickly can they pay for themselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
not profit, just pay for themselves. The
Yeah.
sooner they can pay for themselves, the sooner I can hire another one. and we're in a volume business.
Yeah.
You know, are you a salon owner?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so if you've got, how many chairs do you have in your salon?
I'm just independent.
So
Yeah.
so then you're on the complete other side and everything that I'm talking about. The only
Yeah,
person you
but
have to worry about is you.
I
And
totally understand because I used to have a bigger salon and then I went down like
you're
years.
doing exactly what you said, what people are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, if I've got 10 chairs, I've got 10 chairs, I've got 10 chairs for 10 hours, I need to fill them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't fill them unless I've got hairdressers.
But I'm having flashback as we're talking because I'm like, oh yeah, I totally went there when you have stylists that don't promote themselves, don't bring client to the salon. They're relying on you to do it. And then here you are, you end up doing all the work and you're running yourself down, right?
That's what you do.
Yeah, that's what, yeah. But
That's what you do if you want to have a salon with employees.
yeah.
You're
But
vulnerable.
it is it's I, I think as a salon owner, like I'm looking at you and I see you and I see you like I've been following you since the beginning of the pandemic.
Yep.
And you're an advocate. You stand up really for other hairstylists that doesn't have the courage to do so. I really
Yep. But you know how
admire.
many you know how many friends and followers I've lost because of public opinion, you
Yeah,
know? And what happens is if you open your mouth and you try and do something, there's some people that support you and there's a lot that don't.
right, for
So
sure.
you end up, it's like, my gosh, this is a lot of pain.
But Nick, this is your real friends, though. Like they still the one that will support you. I think the one that are just like they're moving on, right? But the people that really believe in what you're talking and what they're going through the same thing as you do, they're the one that are going to stick with you, and they're the one that are going to support you. Because I when I've listened to you, I've watched you talk about this.
I lost 40 hairdressers.
Like, yeah,
I
hairstylist
lost
in your
40 stylists.
yeah.
Yeah. I went back to work after the coronavirus and nobody came back to work.
Yeah,
So even though you're out there trying to support the professional stylist and the salon owner, it didn't really help me in my business.
yeah,
Didn't. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I can't control what other people think or do. I can only focus on what I think and what I do. Yeah,
exactly,
and what I believe to be
exactly.
true was that it was very unfair for salon owners not to get enough support to help them through a very, very difficult time. We
Yeah,
were the forgotten craft,
yeah,
and not just us. And it wasn't, and we're just not the only ones that had a difficult time. There's plenty of others that have had a difficult time, but we're in that small minority of people that really had it hard, and
yeah,
trying to rebound is incredibly difficult because the government doesn't necessarily look at hairdressing as a premium job. Okay,
it's the same thing here in
I
Canada.
know it's the same thing all over the world. It's not just in Canada. It's the
Yeah,
same thing all over the world.
so
You
frustrating, so frustrating.
Well, it is frustrating seeing as it's a female-dominated environment.
Yeah.
Yes, and we all talk in society about how to support women and how to support, different genders and how to be, kind of. I mean, we're a massive melting pot of, diversity, and
Hmm.
yet our diverse industry does not have the level of support that other industries have had.
Hmm.
So while I advocate for that, I also have to work really hard to try and keep my business sustainable.
Hmm. Let me ask you something. Um, Here in Canada, I don't know about in United States, we're experiencing a shortage of labor, as in like kids don't want to go into the industry because mom and dad are saying you don't make enough money, so go get an education, right?
Yep.
So we're struggling with that. Now, have you ever thought about hiring international workers? To work?
Yeah, I've done it.
You've done it?
I've done it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah. It's
Excuse me. Yes, Lee, I'm on a Zoom. The reality of life.
It's interesting. And I was talking
So
to
I've done it, and what happens is, just to go back to that, you can go and find somebody internationally, okay? They're your responsibility then, a lot more responsibility for you.
yeah.
Number two, you can't hire anybody unless you're going to pay them a more premium wage,
Hmm.
okay?
Hmm.
So the good news is when you hire someone from overseas, there's more loyalty to you. The
Hmm.
bad news is if it doesn't work out, there's more of a
Headaches.
responsibility to
Hmm.
you.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so and ultimately, at the end of the day, the best way to build a business, if you need people to work with you, the best way to build a business is to build a business with people that you train, that you develop.
Right.
Yeah, because when you bring in somebody with experience, they may have different ideas and thoughts, and those different ideas and thoughts might not gel with yours, and all of a sudden you could be in the wrong place completely. So I've done it where it's worked, and I've done it where it's failed. Yeah,
Mm.
it is what it is.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
what really needs to truly happen is there needs to be a much better push for what hairdressing is all about. There
Yeah. Yeah.
needs to be a better campaign as a career in hairdressing. But the truth of the matter is more and more, Isabel, what happens is if people are on their own, working on their own, and someone gives them $100 in cash, that $100 in cash, is that cash really going to go into the
Yeah.
business or is it going to go into the pocket?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the medium average earning hairdresser in America, the national average is less than $30,000. So when you go and pull up statistics, as people love to do when they're coming looking for a job, yeah, I interview people on all levels from accounting, finance, federal aid, student services, managers, assistant managers, whatever it may be. And you can go online and say, well, this is what the medium income is for that person's job. So they have like a reflection of that. In hairdressing, the income is really low. So
Hmm.
no one's really coming looking for that hairdressing job because they're not going, I'm going to become rich. Because the reality is nobody knows because very few, even if I've made a lot of money, all the people that haven't made a lot of money have diminished my earning potential as a statistic. So therefore, it's harder to get people coming into this industry.
Hmm. Oh, we can sit there and talk about this all night long.
A lot of stuff to talk about.
A lot of stuff to talk about. Oh
Yes.
my goodness. Thank you for this really good conversation. I'm really
Good.
happy that you came on. You accepted my invitation. I want to say to you, keep keep working hard, but I
I'm
want
gonna.
I want you to go to sleep at night and sleep well. No.
You know what? Here's the best thing. It's been a blessed journey. We enjoy it. It's good. My dream's better than it could ever have been. And I know that even though we go through these difficult moments, and there's a lot of hairdressers out there that are going through this difficult moment, especially if you're a salon owner, you're going through a very difficult time where you have to reflect, reevaluate, you
Mhm.
know
That's it.
just do the very best to stay positive. I like to try and keep my dream alive, be proud of what you've accomplished, but also be like a child looking for that next
Right.
cliff to stand on, that next step to get to. You
Yeah.
know, there long time having a business and being a business owner for many many years. I've faced so many problems and so many challenges. So I would say that in closing, what I learned a long time ago was there is a solution for every problem.
Mhm.
Yeah, so what no matter how difficult the future is, and no matter how hard it may be, there is a solution to every problem. You just have to look deeper and
Right.
deep enough to find it
Yeah,
and
like
learn how to navigate. And we should never feel, I know I lost a massive space. I lost a lot during the pandemic. I lost millions of dollars. Um, but I don't wake up every day licking my wounds. I kind of wake up going, let's see what the future's going to bring. Look for those little breaks in the sun, breaks in the cloud that the sun shines through. They
yeah.
may not be as many, but at least if I get one or two, and I work for that, I think eventually the clouds will disappear and
Yeah.
the sun and the sky will come out and the sunshine will come out too. And then I believe that we'll all have a better moment, but it
Mhm.
might be a different moment for what we've been through. It might be a different moment from what we dreamt about, but I do believe that there is always brighter days ahead. And it can always get so much worse. So be thankful of whatever you have because it can always get worse.
Well said. I can't top this.
Well, I
This
better go because I got
was-
called by my wife. You could see that. She was
I-
calling me.
Stay on for a second. I want to talk to you in private. Okay. So thank you so much
Thank you.
for all your wisdom, and for all our listener. Thank you for connecting with us. It's been a pleasure to have you in between hairstylists. Bye for now.